You're listening to the LaRocque Life Podcast, where hosts Michael and Laura explore relationships, adventure, freedom, and just some all-around real and raw conversations, drawing from their 17 years together with a bit of sarcasm, humor, tears, a few and lots of love. They deep dive into the male and female perspective on relationships and navigate the highs and lows of life together. Sit back, grab your love mug, and let's get into today's conversation.
All right, Laura, episode 36. What are we talking about, babe?
We're going to talk about some sexual connection.
Sing the song.
Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me.
Who is that?
I do not have a very good
That's
tune.
not. I keep wanting to sing like.
Is it like MC Hammer?
No, fuck no. I don't know. Anyway, we're not. Yeah.
This isn't Name That Tune.
Ooh, good one. I like it. I like it.
Okay. So, I was just joking around and I said, all he ever wants is sex. Well, all she ever wants is to talk.
When you said that, I was like, well, fuck, why don't you just talk to her in sex? And like, boom, problem solver. It's what I do.
All right, episode done.
Done. Anyway, sorry. What was your take on that?
Well, okay, so we talk a lot about feminine masculine energy.
Yep.
And we were having a conversation a little while ago about how feminine masculine energy is like a really big buzzword lately, and a lot of people are talking about it, and including us, right?
Yep.
But I feel like it's a really great way for people to start actually looking into how men are different than women and women are different than men.
I've never actually read Venus and Mars.
I was just gonna
Fuck,
say,
I gotta read that because that's old school, eh?
we
But
do need to read that because you just literally read my mind. We're like so connected.
ooh,
Okay, so I'm having a vision of my mom's like old wood not nightstand, the dresser with like the mirror on the top, you know?
oh yeah, with the pictures hanging on the side and.
Yes. Not the pictures, like my mom's didn't have pictures. My mom's had like little shelves.
Okay.
So you could like put your like perfume bottles, but then the whole front was a mirror. But the reason that this is popping into my mind is it's clearly a traumatic event because I accidentally spilt nail polish remover on the top of it.
Ooh.
And so it removed the the finish
Yep.
around the like little bottles that were there, and it was there forever, and it was forever constantly reminding me of what I did, and my mom was so upset. But also, at a time in my life, my mom had the book Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus on there. So it's interesting that 30-some years later, this memory is still very connected to that.
It's burnt in, buddy. Yeah.
Totally random. But I think some of you will definitely relate to those dressers and give you a little nostalgia and
Disappointing your parents.
And disappointing your parents. And I know I'm not the only person who has spilt nail polish remover on something and removed the finish.
That I believe,
and no, I am not alone. But anyways, yeah, I obviously was way too young at that time to know anything about that book, but I always thought the name was very interesting. Like I literally thought that men
That's
are
where
from
they came
Mars.
from?
Yeah, I literally thought that men lived on Mars and like women came from Venus because in school we were learning about planets.
Okay, yeah.
I mean, I was obviously quite young, but we should read that book because from my understanding of it is that, and I could be totally off because again, I've never read it, but my understanding that I've kind of picked up over the last few years is that the feminine and masculine energy is connected to that. And it's basically just talking about like, you know, men are very different than women and vice versa. And so that's what I do like about the feminine and the masculine energy talk within relationships these days, because I was just telling you that like 8 years ago when we were going through our marital issues,
Yeah.
I had no idea what feminine and masculine energy was at all. But 4 years later, when we were working, and this was 4 years ago, we were working with our first mentors and coaches in this kind of more field, and they started talking about feminine and masculine energy, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this at the time, but this is exactly what I did. I tapped into my femininity. I healed my femininity through unconditional love and healing like my past wounds and my codependency. And it would have been cool, I suppose. I mean, my journey was what it was meant to be, but it would have been cool to, I guess, know that I was like healing my and stepping into my empowered feminine, right?
Right.
So anyways, all of that to say that I do think that the, talking about feminine masculine energy right now is really cool because it gives you kind of like a idea of relationships and roles and characteristics and stuff like that.
Oh, totally.
Polarization,
Yep.
right? So sorry, that was like super long-winded.
No, but I mean, it's all needed, right? And that's what you see that a lot. It's just the polar, it's just off. Like we're too close together now, or everyone's kind of equal planes, right? Just
we're just like
the environment, the way the work is, the way everything is. We're equals now.
Yeah.
Or well, that's kind of fucked up. Like we're always equals, I think, in my eyes. We just have again different roles, right?
Yeah. Yeah, gosh, it gets so confusing. This is like a complex conversation that we'll like maybe have someday, but you're bound to piss somebody off, which is okay. I mean, I piss someone off all the time, I'm sure, but it's just such a complex conversation about like roles and relationships when you start getting into it, because like
it's whatever stance you see though, right? Exactly. It's whatever stance you take, however you grew up. Fuck, maybe even your grandparents, like how they were, and those were like some of the glory years you talk about.
And whether you enjoyed that or you didn't enjoy it, then you created a belief and idea around that, whether that was good or bad or wrong or right, or like, fuck my grandpa, he was controlling and made my grandma stay home in the kitchen. But did your grandma like staying home in the kitchen? Like, was that her purpose, her passion? Like, I don't know. I just think that the world is such an interesting place these days, and we all have so many beliefs. No one's neutral on anything, but like not only do we have beliefs, but we're like fired up about those beliefs, and it's like my belief is the right way and yours isn't, and then it causes such divide and just like drama. And
I know, and
it's so much
sucks too, because there's so many people. It's like fucking breaking up families and like doing all kinds of crazy shit, and just like your brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles and all this stuff. It's just like, what the fuck,
and like
man?
Best friends, like
now best friends, they don't even talk to each other, right? And it's just like, what the fuck is happening right now?
Crazy time. But so I say we have that a conversation someday.
Yep.
On our beliefs, but again, like I don't think our beliefs are 100% right. Like it's just what's formed us and where we're at, right?
Totally.
So we can talk about that from like a neutral standpoint, but just kind of sharing, different ideologies on it. But our purpose in this podcast and in our coaching is to help couples come together. Couples who want to come together, to heal, to create a deeper connection and a deeper intimacy. So this is why feminine and masculine and tapping into those roles is very important in being able to do that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right? So what we were going to talk about tonight is going back to what I had just said about all she ever wants to do is talk, but all he ever wants to do is have sex or touch or connect, right? Like physically.
Right.
And so I think we should jam on that a little bit.
Sounds good.
And then we have a personal story to share too.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyway, okay. Cool. Well,
maybe just stick to your sound effects on the electronic board.
I know. How old are you?
I don't know. What's the freaking
You got your fucking moving pictures and your electronic board. Anyway.
I'm 35, actually.
Yes, you are.
35 in 3 days, to be exact. Or 4 days. I don't even know. 4 days.
7th day. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 35 plus 4 days.
Nice. You wear it well.
Thanks.
Yes. Anyway, okay, well, I know from the guy's standpoint, yeah, fucking right. So you want to get down all the time. And there's really not much else to say about that. Really. I mean, some guys, I suppose I can only speak for myself, but oh yeah.
Well, you speak for a lot of men. So I'm going to it's my old age talking.
Sure.
I'm going to preface this with when we discuss the feminine and the masculine, we're going to, for simplicity terms, I do this in any of my trainings, any of my coaching, I always refer to the feminine as more the female side and the masculine is more the men's side. Okay. But it doesn't have to be that way. You can be in a relationship where the woman is more in tune with the masculine energy and that's her core energy, and she's attracted a male partner who's more in his feminine, and it doesn't mean that it's like like, I'm not like, it's not like your partner's gay or like,
well, there's no right or
super
wrong to it. Yeah.
feminine. It's a feminine energy. It's the characteristics that we're talking about.
Right.
And so we just automatically say feminine, more women dominant, because actually, like, I think it's about 80%
At least,
of
hey,
women
or something like that. Yeah.
are identify more as core feminine characteristics.
Yeah.
And then that many men identify as mostly core masculine.
Right.
So we just say that for ease of conversation and explanation. So when you say that, I speak for myself, not all men, you're right. Not all men are going to feel that way. But more,
mostly, yeah, more of it.
More men,
yeah,
will feel that way. So,
yeah, no, 100%. So we're like I say, my side of guys are like DOF. I can't even think straight. Just ready to fuck whenever. So I can't even use acronyms for it, but yeah, like, I mean, it's not, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just part of the deal, I guess. I don't know. It's mainly, I guess, how we've been just molded from society and movies and books and everything else. It's just like, as soon as a girl gives you a look, you got to be ready, or else you fucking go down the line and find another guy.
So, well, I guess like it could be biological, right? Like that was like maybe caveman days. Like,
well, we're always looking to reproduce, right?
You have to,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And back then, that you did reproduce multiple times with different women. Still provided for until a certain age, I believe, right? Like until the children are a certain age, and then kind of let them go and then go and produce.
Yeah, protect and get your gene pool going, or that is the goal, right? And that's to keep your lineage moving.
Yeah, exactly. Grow your tribe. So I guess there's like that biological aspect. And then I would say on like a cultural, maybe society sort of aspect, is that a lot of boys, and we talk about this a lot. I mean, I think we even just talked about it last week. A lot of boys are kind of groomed from a young age that you don't necessarily share your feelings, right?
Oh, no.
Like, you just like,
you wouldn't communicate it. It would just be like, well, we had sex. That's how I love you. Like, I mean, that should be enough, right? Like, why do we got to talk about this, or why do we have to discuss anything deeper?
Well, you're talking about as a grown man, I hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm still talking about children. So
oh, okay.
You just made things kind of weird there.
Apologies.
I'm still talking about like young boys are kind of groomed into, you just don't share your feelings, right?
No,
like,
and you don't cry.
Yeah. So there's already this like complex, I believe, that as you're growing up, you don't really need to talk much because you don't need to share. And so then you just have that physical attraction, that physical want.
Yeah, that's fair.
Does that make sense? I mean, I'm not a man.
Yeah, no, 100%. I can't even put that into words because that's exactly, I think you nailed it. I mean, really, it's just don't cry, fucking walk it off, put some dirt on it if you get hurt. And yeah, you don't have to talk about your feelings. You're just
like man up.
Yeah, man up. If she wants to go, you go. And if not, then just fucking man up and
move on.
Now It's like sit on the couch and play video games and watch porn and go to bed.
Right.
Which is so easy. But I mean, that's another topic we can talk about down the line. But I mean, now so many guys are just staying away from women altogether almost, where it's like you could just play video games that hits a lot of receptors in your fucking brain. Yeah. And then you don't have to deal with the heartache or the rejection or resentment for sex. You just go fucking find some porn. She'll never fucking say anything bad about you. And then you're done and carry on with your night. And you don't have to worry about your feelings getting hurt. You don't have to worry about anything and just carry on.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Sad. And that's not the way to do things. And that is sad. It's extremely sad. And that's why we together, I think this is a big movement that we have to keep moving and help as many people as we can, because there's so many guys I see falling into that. Like fucking married men are falling into those traps, right? And it's just, I get it, because it's hitting everything in your head, or everything, like all these receptors, dopamine, all this fucking shit that makes you feel good without any of the hurt.
And I think, as human beings, men, women, feminine, masculine, it doesn't matter. We crave connection. Like that is in our DNA.
Especially these times
right?
are highlighting that, our hope. Anyway, people see that, like, for hugging, connection, touching, anything, right?
Yeah. And so we're wired for connection, but it's almost like there's this huge block in front of, let's say, a married couple like you and I. Like, we both want connection so bad, but we're both like, well, you're from Mars, I'm from Venus, right? Like, we're both looking at it from completely different avenues. We're like on different freeways and expecting the same thing. You loved that. I know you did.
I know, and I was thinking, like, fucking fire up some fuel in that old rocket and I'll fly over there. I don't give a fuck.
Right. But then there's like this lack of communication, and there's this lack of awareness of the patterns and just everything, because we really want the same thing. We're just speaking completely different languages. And so you're speaking physical sex, I'm speaking communication, emotional connection, right?
Right.
So for women to have sex, it starts with an emotional connection. So, I mean, my foreplay is technically chatting with you, like sharing my thoughts and my feelings, and you sharing your thoughts and your feelings.
Grocery store stuff. Ooh, tell me more. What aisle did you go down?
No, not that.
Okay,
like,
okay.
How I'm feeling, like maybe about grocery shopping, I don't know, but like just how I'm feeling like inside. And then I'm like letting you into my heart, because the feminine is heart, right? Like it's heart opening. And so in order for you, like for me to let you in, it's like, I'm going to open my heart and like invite you in. And then once we feel emotionally connected, then I'm like, yeah, okay, let's do the deed. Right?
Do the deed? You just say that?
I never say that, but that sounded pretty funny. And then I'm assuming for you, because I've known you for 17 years, that you're kind of the opposite. Like you just sort of like, no, that's there, but you will open up. And actually, so
it's like, you don't know me. I have feelings.
I hate this podcast because I always like end up giving away all my secrets.
Not just a light switch.
Yes, you are.
Oh, fucking right.
But
solar powered, it just turns on at like 5.
I know. Okay, shh. I know. Oh yeah, I'm touching his arm.
The show just got a little bit.
It's got steamy. Okay. Holy shit. Not about the steaminess. Just like, calm down. You made me lose my train of thought. Okay, so this podcast always makes me give up all of my secrets, because like here I am talking to you, but I like know women are listening or men are listening. I'm like, well, here, just let me tell you my secrets, and now you know. So in order to, if I ever want to emotionally connect with you in the past, because now I feel like we definitely have that a lot deeper and you will open up, or I can just simply like ask you a question and you'll open up a lot more. But back in the past, when you were like stonewalled around your heart and there was like, no, not sharing anything. And if there was something I want to know from you, then I just did make a sexual advancement on you and then ask the question.
So I could just revert back to that. Now it's like, hey, I'm really interested in your guns. Tell me more. Oh, really?
No, but so like if I wanted you, to just like open up and share something, or if I was really craving that emotional connection that, you know, now I can get from you, but back then I couldn't get from you, I would just do something physical with you, like, or initiate something physical with you, because then I knew you would begin to open up. So that was kind of my first opening to, oh yes, men for sure do love physical connection in order to open up, right? So I just purposely would do that. So I mean, there's a little secret for you.
So you're
ladies,
manipulating me with sex? That's fine.
Yeah, so I manipulated you with sex.
Yeah, it's the best 2 minutes of your life.
To open up emotionally. But kind of going back and on a more serious note with this whole like where I see couples like spiraling downwards or like disconnecting.
Yeah.
It's like, again, you want the same things. There's just like a different way to get there.
100%. It's like bashing your head against the fucking wall too, right? Like two people that genuinely love each other and want
And
the same thing and
other,
care
like,
for each other just cannot, you just can't get on the same fucking wavelength. It sucks.
Like those wires aren't connecting.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track with that?
Yeah.
So I think, so where are we going with this? Oh yeah. Well, we wanted to share a personal example with you because the cool thing is that it still happens to us. I mean, I guess that's not the cool thing. I mean, it still happens to us because we're humans, but the cool part about it is that now we have the awareness and we can catch ourselves in it, and then we can kind of redirect where that whole evening is going to head or that whole day is going to head, instead of getting mad, holding it all in, resenting each other.
Well, then you just waste 2 fucking days for nothing, right?
Exactly. But then also just like compounding that, right? Like stuffing it down, stuffing it down, stuffing it down. And one day looking at your partner and being like, I am not in love with you. Like,
Oh man,
I have
100%.
so much resentment towards you that I don't even know how to begin unpacking that.
And that's what happens
or
with
where
most,
to begin.
now with most divorces, right? As soon as
Mhm.
most people stay together for the kids or whatever, then as soon as they're gone, it's like, well, see you later.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're in a whole nother fucking world of hurt where you're trying to hit the dating market at 45, which is great for men because that's right at your peak. Men could at 45 can go to like women in their 20s because they're looking for that, or they can hang around with women that are 40 to 50 in that area and then it'll be fine. But
Right.
women, when they hit that market at 45, it's like, oh fuck. Generally, because
But couldn't they just look for an older man then if that's what they wanted?
they'd have to go older, but you go older and you're starting to lose that 45 is kind of your peak as a man sexually. So you're starting to lose. So now you're sleeping with a 55-year-old, 60-year-old guy, which isn't a bad thing, but probably not high on your rate or on your scale. Or you go way down on guys. Pun intended. You go down to like the young guys, but it's more of a hunt for them to like, oh, I fucked a cougar, da 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 da. Right? It's not.
Not
There's
something
nothing.
serious.
There's really nothing serious there. So you really throw yourself in a fucking loop. So you're up against it either way, right?
Right.
It
Yeah.
sucks. But that's again, we can talk about that
one
another
of those
topic. But
complex conversations again,
is.
right? So yeah, okay, well then let's just talk about then quickly, like, should we just talk about our real life example?
Yeah, 100%.
And then we'll see where that flies from there. I think you should tell a story.
I don't know. What are you thinking? I want to know the story you're talking about.
Oh, I'm talking about the one where just like before Christmas. So this was only like 3 weeks ago when you were still back in Kamloops for 3 weeks, essentially. It was 19 days, right, that we hadn't seen each other. And then it was our first night home, your first night home.
Right.
And kind of, you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
Well, that
yes, I
sound
do.
very, okay.
No, okay. So I was away, obviously, in a hotel for 19 days. And I've never done that before. For a lot of people, that's just like old hat. They can do that and come home for a week and then they're gone again. And that's fine. But for me, I've never done that. I've never been away from my family, never been away from you guys for that long.
Well, in 17 years, we've never been together, or we've never been apart more than I think like 7 to 10 days.
10 days was the longest when you're on that
was just
Vipassana one, right?
Oh, yeah, right.
So that would be the longest, I think. And then with Lennox, it's never been like.
Yeah, I think in August, I might have come back here for 10 days with Lennox, and then we were back to Kamloops with you. So I think 10 days is the max.
Yeah, call it that, right?
Yeah.
So I was all fucked up from that. But then I was just, when I came back, I was like, hey, we definitely, phone calls and video chats and stuff are fine. But we're not really those people to get, which we probably should open that avenue, I guess, a little bit. But like, we're not like real big sexters, nothing on like FaceTime and all that kind of shit, right? Which I'm sure people have to, but.
Yeah. Well, my thing is, who's watching it? Who's listening to it?
Well, let them watch. You're fucking gorgeous. But anyway, that's a different topic.
Well, I'm not comfortable with that.
So we're just not into that. So I had all this pent up energy, right? So I come home and in my head, I'm thinking all these fantasies, right? Like, oh yeah, she's going to get all fucking dressed up for me, or, we'll get Lennox to bed and then it's like fucking watch out, right? But, what the hell was it? It was like a husband killer. It was every guy could see it. Is like you put on your pajama pants or some fucking thing.
My fuzzy pajama pants.
Yeah. And you had your fucking she's got a shirt that she wears in bed, but then like a fucking jacket.
It's like a Sherpa.
It fucking zips it up like a fucking turtleneck. It's like, okay.
It was December.
Yeah, so buddies so I was like, oh, this is awesome. I can't wait. And so it's fucking, well, I guess we're going to bed. So that was my point. So in my head, I was like, fucking right, we're getting laid, this is red panty night tonight. But it was not. It was put on a fucking parka. Anyway, so that was my point of view. Where's your point of view?
Okay, but.
So you put a butt in there. Okay, where's the butt? No. Definitely wasn't your butt because it was covered up in these fucking pants and a parka.
Your side's not done yet, because then how did you act?
Oh yeah, then I grabbed my book because I'm such a reader and just turned over and started reading. It's like, well, maybe catch a fucking steamy scene in this book to get me through. But so yeah, that's all I did.
So, okay. Now, backstory. I just spent 19 days alone with a 4-year-old who is like so in love with me. And I mean, like I say that from my heart. Like, I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like,
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And so then my body had like a bit of a flare up, and my back was like burning that week. And I was fucking cold. Like, it was cold.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious with your fucking snowsuit on. Yeah.
And so, okay, so then we're like, gonna go to bed. And I never once thought, oh, we're not gonna have sex. But this is going back to everything we just talked about.
Oh yeah, my expectations were like, or my, no expectations, whatever.
Well, your fantasy.
Yeah.
But so we were on completely different wavelengths, because it was not that I never thought we would never have sex. I just was like, okay, Lennox is in bed. Like, let's connect, let's chat, let's cuddle. Like, and then my warm fuzzies can come up.
Jesus.
But I was cold.
That's okay. I see that now. But
but it was just really funny because the energy just like, I felt that energy shift, like, because I knew you were so excited to see me, and I was like, okay, sweet. So we're like going to bed and shut off the salt lamp because the room went dark, got into bed, and I cuddled and cozied up to you, but then you just felt so cold, like not literally cold.
Probably was.
Energetically cold. And I was like, I guess maybe you just got really tired. I mean, you did have a really long drive today. So these are my thoughts, right? But it's just so interesting because, like, in the past, I would have then just been like, well, fine, fuck you then. And just like turned over and went to sleep and then just been angry and annoyed at you. But I was like, something just doesn't seem right. And so I asked you, and that's where you said, you were just straight up, and this was a good thing too, because in the past I don't think you would have said this.
I just do the old nothing and then carry on, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So not opening up emotionally at all, but you're just like, well, I just have these fantasies that like you'd leave the salt lamp on and I could watch you undress, and maybe that you would have put some lingerie on, or at least a nice bra and panties or something like that, and I could have watched you undress because I haven't seen you in 20 days, 19 days. And I was just like, oh, well, I didn't know that that's what you wanted. I said, because my head is still in like mom zone where I'm like, okay, I finally get to decompress because there's someone to help me. Like, my body's been sore, but like, you're here to take care of me now, right? Like, I've been taking care of him, but now like I get to get taken care of by you. And that's where my head was. And it was never that I didn't want to have sex. It was just, I needed to connect with you first. But also, like, I don't know, I guess I don't look at my body the way you look at my body. Like, it's not that I don't like my body. Like, I'm pretty good with my body, but I just wasn't thinking about myself sexually in that moment. I was just like, okay, cool. Like, I'm excited to hop into bed and cuddle with you, right? And so it was really good, though, that I asked that question and then that you replied the way you replied, because then it was like, okay, now we're on the same wavelength, right? And this really goes into expectation, and we talk about expectation a lot as well, because prime example, what you're expecting was not what I was thinking about, and vice versa.
Oh yeah, that was classic case of miscommunication.
Very classic case of miscommunication, but we still, I mean, essentially wanted the same outcome, which was to connect and to connect sexually, but mine was first to connect emotionally. Right. Yours was to connect physically, right? And then for you, the emotions, I'm assuming, or the emotional connection would have come. Oh God. But vice versa for me, right?
Yes.
Now I'm not going to talk anymore because I'm going to say,
oh, I can turn anything, so it's fine.
I know. I'm out.
No, that's
Can
good.
You turn that into something perverted?
Oh, probably. Yeah, you're out. Anyway, yeah, no, that makes tons of sense. And I'd be back in the day, would have just been like, well, fucking nothing, and then carried on, read my book, and fingers crossed, hopefully get laid in the next 3 days.
And that would have really got you laid.
Yeah,
right?
like, and then that whole cycle would have played out, that pattern that I was that we were so good at, right? Like not talk for a day or whatever it was, and then slowly start to break the ice and forget what you're even fucking fighting about or like arguing about or whatever it was,
and then not even talk about it.
No, it just goes away, and then just back to normal life.
And go back to normal. Yeah.
Which I noticed for myself, obviously opening up and working a lot, just with everything that we have been doing and different books we read, all the mentors, everything we do. I think even just having a kid changed a lot for my head for that too, because there's no fucking time to like dick around and not talk for a couple days, or like not like to be pissy at each other. Like, fuck man, we're raising a terrorist here. We gotta work together. Like I couldn't even fathom trying to, like, obviously there's a lot of people out there that are, or they're just, and single moms and single dads and stuff, which is fucking tough too. But
just makes it that much harder.
Yeah, like you're fighting each other, fucking just toddlers, whatever,
driving
doing their stuff,
and then you're impatient to them and short,
and then trying to rekindle your relationship or fix that up, and on top of that, and it's just like, holy fuck, it would just, and then work and all these outside forces. And
so it's just way easier, you're saying, to
be a team and communicate. Yes, extremely upfront. I'm big on upfront with everything. Like, be upfront with everything, and obviously it starts at home, starts with your partner, starts with your kids. Yeah. And that's a huge one. And it pays off in spades, man. Like, then we got that fucking parka off, you know? It took a while, but...
It didn't take a while, because after...
Felt like I skinned an alpaca.
Stop it. I'm putting that on tonight. I'm going to wear it on the next show.
Okay.
Like, glue it on so it never comes off again.
That's fair.
But no, because then once I knew what you were expecting, I was able to shift. I was like, oh yeah, right, okay. Like, I'm totally being self-absorbed in my own shit.
Right.
Which is definitely an old pattern of myself, to just think that the world revolved around me. And within our relationship, right, that everything was about me and everything that you did was wrong. So it was a good, like, opportunity for me to be like, okay, right, like, yeah, I've been at home with Lennox for 19 days and taking care of him, and I'm tired, and I've not had a moment to myself where I'm in my head, I'm like, you just spent 19 days, like, every night alone in a hotel room, which is essentially probably every mom's, like, wildest fantasy. Alone is the key word.
I wish there was a time-lapse fucking camera in there. No, it's like, sit on the bed, stand up, look at the wall, look at the corner, fucking lay upside down in your bed. Like, it was fucking horrific. I don't know how people do it. Thank God I don't, like, drink like I used to, because I could see how that would be a fucking slippery slope, man. It'd be crazy.
And see, then me here with the one whose kid still wakes up 2 to 3 times a night. I'm like, God, he's living the dream. Like, he just gets to be in a hotel room all by himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful for my child, and I love being a mom, and I'm grateful for this experience.
Well, everyone with kids understands exactly what you're saying.
At the same time, I was just like, you just had all this time alone, and I just want to be taken care of. But I wasn't thinking about the fact that you were just alone without your family. At least I had Lennox, right? Like,
and
you were
bet
alone.
You in my like past, I would have relished that. You know, like, oh shit, yeah, I'm away, fucking do whatever, right?
And party, or well,
and you
can't really COVID party anymore.
You still find a way.
I guess you could, okay.
But yeah, like, I mean, I want my family, I want you, I want to be around you guys, right? So it was torture to me, for sure.
Yeah, and then I also, like, you know, as tough as it was running my business, running the house, having Lennox, like, again, I'm not being a victim, but just in my own head, like, living that moment day to day. You were out there, like, finishing up a job, like $1 million job, or I don't know how many millions. I don't really pay attention.
15, but...
Oh, okay. See how close I pay attention to these details. So you were closing out a $15 million job and dealing with all the stresses of that. And so it's not like you just had a walk in the park out there, right? But it's funny, again, because that's a pattern, like, just wrapped up in my own thoughts and my own feelings and not thinking about, you know, your side of it.
Yeah, but that's not all on you too. Like, I didn't think about that coming home either. It's like, holy fuck, you know, you were at home with a toddler for all this time. It's not easy. And that's one, like, I mean, there's a lot of people out there with, you know, a lot, and it just, I get it. Like, but it takes a while to see that, right? And, but now once you see it, you're like, oh, fuck, okay.
Yeah, and I guess that's like the softening part of it. And we talk about this in a lot of, well, I know we talked about this last week in the episode about like the empowered masculine. Like you still get to be a man and lead and be tough and all of that jazz, but the empowered part of it is tapping into that vulnerability and into those emotions and allowing yourself to feel, but then also like offering that to your partner, like
Oh, yeah.
offering your heart essentially, right? Like being vulnerable. And so when we were able to have that bit of a conversation, I was like, right, yeah, like you're totally right. So I did. I got up and went to the bathroom and I turned on the salt lamp. I came back without my sherpa or whatever, sheepskin, whatever other terms you referred to it as tonight. Multiple terms. And kind of gave you that. And then you in turn opened up and we cuddled and we talked, and essentially like both of our needs got met, right? Like
Yep.
we got that emotional connection, you got that physical connection. And then it was a good night and we woke up the next morning and we were happy and we were connected and we weren't fighting. And I guess that was just like a really big additional lesson to the ego. Get over it.
Yeah, and it
get
made,
over yourself.
well, that it made all this. It makes sense, right? Like we
Mhm.
practice what we preach, and
Mhm.
it really is, and that's around everything that we do, right? And like this program that we're creating is just it's around that. Where you have to communicate
Mhm.
and figure out. You see those patterns. Doesn't mean they're all bad patterns, but you see patterns and work your way through those. Communicate, and then you're going to be able to fucking be
Mhm.
strong for each other. And I mean, and then as a partnership, and then even as individuals, you're going to be so much stronger and just be your own individual, right? Because I know so
Yeah,
many
just yourself, authentic, right?
so many people get lost in relationship, man. It's like
And
it's what
expect the other person to make
Yeah.
them happier, to fill their needs and their desires.
yeah, and you lose your individuality, and it's just like, okay, we're in a relationship doesn't mean I'm not, not this guy or you're not that woman, right?
Mhm.
And I know for myself, I love that you're a strong individual, successful, smart, sexy. Like I love seeing that, and I want you to be. I just want to be your fucking like arm candy to that, or I want to compliment you to that. I don't need. I want you to like build you up, right? Raise
Mhm.
you up, and just be there for that, and just get the best seats in the house. I don't like. We don't have to. I don't have to.
Yeah, but you support me in that by helping me feel safe, right? Like you do help, like you provide and I nurture.
Mhm.
And then in that in turn allows me to thrive, right? And then I can provide because then I'm earning money and running my business, but then still get to nurture. Like it's such a dance,
Oh, 100%.
right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're just riding my coattails. And that's something that you always used to say, right? Like I'm just riding her coattails, which I was like, that's not attractive.
Yeah. Let's
I
put
don't
some more pressure on me here, asshole.
yeah, put pressure on me, but also like I don't want a man that rides my coattails. Like I want a man who will, I don't know, lift me up. Is that lead,
Yeah.
right?
Oh,
Like lead
100%.
and
And that's
provide.
what we need to do as men. Like,
Mhm.
and forget that. And it's like, oh, I got this woman that's, she makes more money than I do. Haha, I'm just fucking winning. It's like, yeah, that's awesome, but it's not. I
Yeah.
mean,
But
okay,
that's
that's
what
a bad.
you used to want.
Yeah, and that's a bad one example too with money and stuff, because that's who cares.
It's your attitude around it. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter whether
yeah, it
she
doesn't
makes
matter
more
about
money
that.
than you
But
or
just
not.
more successful or more. At this point, it's more respect is what I see,
Mhm.
right? Like if you're a highly respected individual, I don't give a fuck if you make $5 an hour or $500 an hour. That has no value on what you are as a person.
Mhm.
But the amount of respect and how people treat you and how you treat people,
Mhm.
that's the big one. And then if your
Yeah.
woman's out there doing all these great things and you're just fucking hanging in the back, whatever, just yeah,
Yeah.
I'm with her. It just that's not
Well,
a panty dropper, right?
a woman just, yeah, she doesn't want that. Like she wants a man that's not, I'm not going to say not below her. Like
No,
I'll
you got
just
to
speak to
fucking side by side,
myself.
man.
Like
It's a
I don't want to
partnership,
drag
right?
you along. Like I still, because I am in my feminine and at times I obviously have to move into my masculine in my business to be more focused and driven and goal orientated. But at the same time, I am a more feminine woman. And I want that masculine man who can lead and who can provide and I can lean on and I can like open my heart and surrender into.
Right.
I don't want to have to be the masculine in our relationship.
And
again,
make fucking decisions all the time and do whatever, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, I want you to pick where we go and eat or like where we're going on a holiday. Like, just take an initiative, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so there are women, though, who don't want that because they are more in their masculine, but they have likely then attracted more of a feminine, core feminine man, which again is, there's nothing wrong with that. You want that polarity. And so for me, if I'm a more feminine driven, or not feminine driven, feminine, core feminine woman, I want you to be more core masculine. I need you to be core masculine for there to be a polarity and a passion.
Oh, 100%. What are we going to do to like we'll be watching fucking Days of Our Lives?
Well, we would be best friends. We would be roommates.
Right.
We wouldn't be like lovers.
We're not best friends. No, my best friend's Terry just down the road.
But yeah, like best friends, of course. Yeah. But roommates, right? Like just, I'm talking about that passion, that intimacy, right? There has that feminine and masculine polarity is what creates that passion and that intimacy. And so that was kind of a really long rambly way to talk about how I just don't want you riding my coattails. If I'm stepping up, I want you to be a step ahead of me, right? Like I want you to be successful and driven if I'm successful and driven, because then I want to surrender into, at the end of the day, I want to surrender into a strong man, right? Strong masculine man.
Oh, 100%. You need to.
So anyways, bringing this back around, we were talking about the program we're creating, because I think it's very important that couples determine and distinguish those roles and what they want and who they are, going back to the sense of self and your
be honest about it.
Yeah. So like getting to the root of, well, am I more core feminine? Am I core masculine? What are you? And if you are the opposite of what we're talking about, there's nothing wrong with that, but being aware of that is key, because then you get to sink more into, okay, so what are our roles? What am I taking care of around the house? What am I taking care of, in the finances? What am I taking care of with you and our relationship? Like, what do you need from me, and vice versa?
Right.
Whether it's feminine or masculine, doesn't matter. The importance is discovering what that looks like. And then from there, as you're talking about discovering the patterns, like where do we need work? Where are we unhappy? Where do we keep cycling around?
Oh, fuck. It's like Groundhog Day, right?
Right?
It's crazy.
We keep living the same scenario over and over again. It just has like a different day or a different theme.
The fucking weather's a little different. That's about it, right? It's
but
crazy.
I mean, you could like flip a page to it, right? You're just like, okay, well, I know that today is going to trigger this, and this is the exact way that we will move through this, and I can tell you where we're at 3 days from now.
You nailed it.
Right? And that used to be us all the time.
Fuck, you can set your watch to it, man. It's crazy.
Exactly. And so that could have been us that night, right? And this is what we kept saying too. We're like, you know what? It's really easy to learn this and to talk about it. But when the rubber hits the road and it's like, time to put that into action, you have to be strong. You have to be ready to do the work, because that night saying to you like, what's wrong, was a hit to my ego, which it would have been way easier to roll over and be like, fine, fuck him then, right? And not the kind of fucking that you're thinking. Got you.
You did.
Beat you. So
I gotta stop with those.
So it's not easy in the moment. It's like, it's way harder to actually put into play this stuff. And that's why support, and that's where coaches come into play, right? Like you can talk to someone about it when you're not quite there with your partner yet, but also like,
and it's not a bitch fest too, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the hardest part, when you find someone that you can just bitch to, like, negativity is just so easy, and you can just fucking ramble on for hours about it, right? Like with a girlfriend or guys at work or whatever, and you can just be like, yeah, fucking just this and this.
Yeah.
And negativity just breeds, and they just go off, but you don't have a result, right?
Yeah. Like if you actually want to change and shift something, you have to be open and talk to someone who has like a very objective standpoint. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
You know, you're the one who hired me or purchased this program. So
Yeah.
I don't really, like, I care about you and I care about your feelings, but I don't care to sit here and bitch about your partner.
No,
or
I want to
care
get
about
the
the drama
results
or
for
the
you. Yeah.
chaos. Like, what do you want? Let's move to that, right?
100%.
And so that's exactly what we're working on creating. But then also then comes in that communication aspect, right? So first you got to know your role. Well, you got to know who you are. Got to know your role in the relationship. Becoming aware of those patterns, but then communication is so key. And communication starts first with like yourself, like communicating your own thoughts and emotions with yourself to be like, okay, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? Is that true? Is that my ego? Is that myself? Like, is this something that's worthwhile to bring up to my partner? Is this something that's from my past and like my own trauma? Like, who do I need to talk about this with or journal or move through my body? And then from there, okay, yeah, I do need to talk to my partner. How do I talk about this to my partner?
Oh,
Especially in
massively.
the beginning when you're creating new patterns. You have to be quite conscious about the way you bring things up to your partner so that they aren't just the same cycle.
Oh yeah,
Right?
big time. It's great to have one side have it, but then you have to have that, at least the knowledge on the other side of like, okay, this is where they're coming from, and you can start to process that. Because if you just came at me with, wide open communication and I was still my whatever Neanderthal fucking self, you could just be talking to a wall. You'd probably get a better result. But
Yeah, it had to be a gradual process.
oh, 100%, right? And then especially with men, I mean, talking, you don't even know, most guys, like, you don't even know your purpose. You're searching around, like, especially guys like me, like those mid-20s to, 40 is just, you're like, what the fuck are we doing? You don't know your purpose. We don't have a tribe anymore. Most people push away from each other. Like, you're left on a fucking island, man.
You want connection, but you're like the most disconnected.
Oh, massively, right? And like I said before, it's so easy. You're just like, okay, well, fuck this then. I'll just, zone out on TV. Most guys are, know more about sports than they do their own family or their own house, what's going on. And then, like I say, numb out to that, numb out to porn, numb out to booze, whatever it is, right? And it's so much easier than trying to figure out your fucking purpose, because no one, like, there's no book on, or there's no one taught, or myself anyway. Like, I didn't know anything. Like, you're just like, well, you just pay your bills till you die. It's like, well, fuck, that's awesome. So it's crazy, but that's the biggest thing is like, we're such purpose driven people, but we don't know our own fucking purpose. Most people, or like most men anyway. And it's so fucked up. And it sucks. And I've lived it. You've seen the ups and downs, and it's so hard. And then it's so there's that. And then obviously there's like TV and movies and all this stuff saying like, you got to be a manly man, but you don't even know what that is. And then when you try to be, it's so toxic masculine, or whatever the fuck you want to call it, that you're going at it all wrong. And it's just, then you're getting nowhere, and it's just, you're beating your head against the wall. And then obviously it's pushing your partner away, and she's just building up more resentment to this guy that's whatever, right? Just some loser. And then off everyone goes, and then you're going to repeat that same fucking pattern with someone else. And yeah, it sucks. But good news is we're here to help. That's fucking Debbie Downer. But it is like, I mean, it sucks, but it's so easy to get out of that. It just takes work. And it takes that initial look in the mirror and be like, hey, fuck, we got to change this thing, right? Get one life. We got to go at it right. And well, maybe we get one life. I don't know. Maybe come back as a fucking eagle or something.
Who knows what happens?
Who knows what happens? But
I actually just seen this quote today on Instagram, and I'm gonna butcher it because it's what I do really good when I'm trying to recite something. But it was just along the lines of like, if someone is thinking about committing suicide, I want them to not think like, my life is so bad that I want to end it, but instead, this time in my life is so bad that I don't know if I can handle any more of it, because then that shifts that perspective to one thing, one choice, one person, but that basically that your life doesn't need to be this painful or in this turmoil forever, right? And so that's how you just reminded me of that when you were saying that, like, about your relationship. And I mean, you're feeling depressed when you don't have a purpose either, whether that's in your relationship or your whole life.
Yeah.
But that just made me like think of it the way you said that, because that's right. Like, you don't know what to do. You don't know where to turn when you're not happy in your relationship, or you don't have this purpose. But it just takes, like, it can be one thing, right? One thing that changes everything.
Yeah. Oh, massively.
I mean, that's usually what it is. Like, that's what it was
usually,
for
and
us.
it just kickstarts, and then it starts a whole bunch of stuff, right? Then it
It
gets
just like basically like kind of course corrects you, right? Like, so it takes you off going this one direction, and it might just like turn you like a half a degree, and all of a sudden now there's all these new opportunities, new people.
You're getting your health in order, you're getting your body in order, you're getting everything in order, getting your finance in order. It just, there's so many
everything
things.
starts shifting, right?
It really is.
And it only has to be like one small shift in perspective.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, should we leave it at that?
I think so. Yes.
No, that was awesome. And again, we'll be talking more about that program.
Well, you'll be getting the details very soon. We're just tying up the loose ends on it, but you've got the gist of it. It's that feminine and masculine, figuring out your roles, and then how to nurture that within yourself and with your partner, communication and patterns. That's what we're going to dive deep into over 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And we're offering it to couples. We do understand that there are people within relationships where only like one half, 50% of the relationship is open to it. If you're a woman, come see me, because that's exactly what I work with in my personal one-to-one coaching. My service is called Reignited Relationships, and that's what I take women through. It's like really taking personal responsibility for yourself, which creates huge shifts in your whole relationship. But what we're very focused on here in this is the opportunity, and what are we calling it? Safe and wild, right?
Yes,
where it's like, it stems from that saying, you keep me safe, I'll keep you wild, because when you can really tap into that feminine and masculine role and support each other in that, that's exactly what happens. But it's feeling that safe to express and feel emotions, both of you. Yep. And then when you're safe, there's that opportunity to be adventurous and playful and fun, right? You can let loose. And so that's what we're basing it around. But we're focusing specifically on couples for this one. Because again, if you're a woman, come see me. If you're a man, Mike will be creating something in the future. But right now, this is for couples that are at least open to it. If you have any small desire for growth and change, and you're both feeling that way, this is for you. Because we'll just slowly open that door for you. Oh,
massively, right? I know most guys would be kicking and screaming and dragging their feet into it, but
that's the thing, right?
I know every excuse in the book.
We know a lot.
Yeah, 100%. I lived it, and every guy that says, well, that's not for me. Just I've been there, I've done it. I've fucking had every excuse in the book. I've done whatever, and just
yeah. And we're purposely taking this easy, because we do know that there's a lot of women that are like, honey, we should take this. And he's thinking, oh, for fuck's sakes, like, seriously?
Yeah.
So we're not going to take you deep down the rabbit hole of spirituality and woo-ness and all of this stuff, but we're going to give you some really good awareness and tools to strengthen your connection in your relationship.
Some suggestions. If you want to get woo, get into some ayahuasca, and then you can get him on a whole new train.
Right. Oh my God. No, mess him up probably.
Yeah, that's another topic.
But no, it's pretty straight and narrow, but guarantee you that you will gain many tools and lots of support to create a deeper intimacy. I would say to the women, you will get him. You will get that deeper emotional connection with him if he's open to this course, and him, you're likely going to, I'm going to say in Mike's terms, probably get laid more.
Yeah, that's a fair way to say it. It's like, where do we sign up?
That's what you told me. Well, if you brought this to me, I would say, yeah, am I going to get laid? Sure.
Yeah, fuck. Well, I mean, it sucks to dumb it down that level, but I mean, generally you follow these rules, odds are you'll probably get laid more. Both ways. I don't know.
You mean from the course, taking the course, or
yes.
signing up for the course.
Signing up for the course won't do shit. I know that for a fact. The amount of courses and books and things I've signed up for and own and whatever else, but you actually have to do the work. Once you do the actual work, then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I see it now.
I mean, you will get laid more if this is what is cracking you both open, because
Just
she's
put a
going
disclaimer on there.
what, caution, you may get laid more?
Yeah, caution.
But I mean, when you understand the roles in your relationships, I'm totally like backtracking, but understanding your roles in your relationship and understand each other deeper and understand yourself deeper, of course, that physical connection and intimacy is going to come, that emotional connection and intimacy is going to come. So,
yeah. Okay, let's leave it at that.
We got to stop talking about it because
I know.
we're just going to go.
We harp on forever. But anyway, that was great. That's awesome. I love you.
I love you too.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening. Find us on social media at LaRocque Life Podcast and online at LaRocqueLife.com. Ladies, find Laura on social media at Laura LaRocque and online at LauraLaRocque.com. Have a request for a show topic? We love that. Send us an email at michael@LaRocqueLife.com or DM at LaRocque Life Podcast. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review.